And welcome back to the Furry Fandom, the world's first and only furry podcast. My name is Neil Fox, and I'm joined by my vice president,
Link Labrador.
Link Labrador. I decided it would be really funny if we, in the future, if we put Hail to the Chief at the beginning, and it was the State of the Fandom podcast. I will be the president. You will be the vice president of the Furry Fandom. It's me, Neil Fox, the president of the Furry Fandom.
I love it.
Of course. And we have been having just the most fascinating conversation, and I wanted to bring you guys in on this. So, Link used to work at Dunkin' Donuts, and we just visited this Dunkin' that he used to work at. And, you know, from the stories that he had told, I kind of had an impression in my mind of, like, this old, you know, like, Fallout-looking place with like, I don't know, a goo running down the walls. And like, you go inside and they go, "Yes, what brew can we get for you today? Wanderer in the wasteland." And, like, the lights are flickering But no, it's just a perfectly normal Dunkin' Donuts. Like, it's clean, the lights are all working. Like, I was actually somewhat surprised that it was as clean as it looked from the horror stories that you have told.
Wow. It also helps that they close the lobby because they can't find staffing.
Oh, God. Can't find staffing, sure. Yeah, well,
it's what they deserve as far as I'm personally concerned, because they treat people like shit.
Yeah.
Hell, they can't even keep management, let alone staff. I wonder how many supervisors they went through.
Yeah, well, you said as you were working there, there were like
15, 20.
Supervisors?
Yeah,
Jesus.
It was like a new supervisor like every 6 months. Nothing got done.
That's crazy.
No one could get hired. No one really could get fired. No one could get raises. I had 2 reviews in 7 years. If you want to do the math on that real quick.
Jesus. So you worked at that Dunkin' Donuts for 7 years.
Yep.
And okay, I just made a TikTok about this, but in my opinion, as a small business owner, this is the reckoning that has been coming for these businesses for years. You said decades. I completely agree. It's not right to treat your workers so poorly. And it's not right to prioritize management over the individual worker that's actually making the money for the company.
Oh, and to make things even worse, the store that we were just at was what's called the last chance store. So whatever supervisor they threw at it typically would get fired or move up the chain because that was their last chance at management. Because their management had to be, so perfect and so professional and the numbers! We need to make sure the numbers are correct, and we need to make sure that we are bringing maximum profit in every single hour of every single day, making sure that everything is perfect and clean and this and that. I'm like, guys, chill the fuck out. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. The CEO, the owner of the Dunkin' Donuts, doesn't actually care, and he buys a cheap car in cash. Of course, he has his $1 million mansion. I think his kids care about the profits more than he does.
Jesus.
No, seriously.
Wow. Well, and I mean, that's so common among all of these businesses, is for middle management and upper management, they care about management problems. They don't care about the individual people. Again, the individual people that are actually making money for the company. It's, ironically enough, this is one of the few areas that the consulting company that I worked for, Global Resources, out of Chicago, it's one of the few places where they actually knew what they were doing, where they looked at people like me who would go in and analyze small businesses, and they would say, look, you know, we don't make any money unless you do your job well.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that is the way for everything.
Yes.
If you don't have someone flipping the burgers, then McDonald's doesn't make any money.
No.
If you don't have someone at Dunkin' Donuts making the coffee, then Dunkin' Donuts doesn't make any money. Oh, you saw a turkey outside?
Yeah, I did.
So Link may have the eyes and ears of an actual Labrador because of ADHD, and so he sees animals very quickly, even ones that I didn't even notice it.
Indeed, I spot deer, squirrel. I'm very bad at spotting things that are in it, things that don't move. I'm very bad at spotting things that can't move. But if it moves, I see it. It's great. It's weird.
It's funny. But yeah, I hope that COVID and COVID times can be one of those, times of change. That's what we were talking about just before we started recording, was that, who knows if it was all planned or not. I don't think it was planned. I think that what I was getting to a bit ago was, in my opinion, it's people are opportunistic about whatever happens. So you could have a pandemic, you could have a war, you could have,
an apocalypse.
You could have a hurricane, whatever. Zombie apocalypse, sure. And people will be opportunistic about it regardless of what it is. And so, and COVID is a perfect example. It's whether it was planned or not, there was still a huge transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich.
Yes.
It's something like $4 trillion of the COVID relief funds and, government spending and all of this that was on every level, on state, local, and federal. $4 trillion, if I recall correctly, went to the ultra-rich. And what a shame, because here we had an opportunity to actually help individual people. I mean, hell, we were even giving away money to individual people, but, the amount that they gave to us was so small in comparison to what they gave to themselves, and it's just... It's not right. It's not right. We live in a society that is unfair and unequal to a staggering degree. Like, did you know, for example, that the wealth inequality in America recently surpassed, so it is even worse now than it was right before the French Revolution in France?
Oh gosh, I did know that.
Yes. It's staggering that, you look at the Palace of Versailles and you say, we have more wealth inequality than that.
Yes.
That's crazy. And no wonder that people,
are sieging the Bastille?
Yeah!
Gee, I wonder why people here in America did the equivalent of siege the Bastille here in the United States.
Right.
I wonder why.
Right. Well, and, we were just learning, and this is a breaking news story, so I don't know the whole details of it, but my understanding is that in China, there's actually a big run on the banks happening right now because of all the corrupt real estate developers. And so, once again, the average people, the average individual person who, just does a good day's work, they are getting screwed by not being able to take their money out of the bank. And, there's all these COVID lockdowns that are now happening in China that, I would
never end.
I would not be surprised if they're doing this now just to keep people from going to the banks to try to take out their money. And as usual, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
China's gonna have a full-scale revolution in the next hot minute.
Yeah.
Should be interesting what happens next.
It certainly will be interesting to see, that's for
and
sure.
I don't mean interesting in a good way. I mean interesting and probably the worst way possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Wouldn't want to be in China right now.
I would not either.